It was a cold London evening. A late afternoon when the fog had cloaked the buildings and streets in a grey shroud. Adele, tracing the icy glass with her fingertips, watched the human ants moving below in their faint lights. This scene transported her back years, to that night when everything had ended. Back then, the glass wasn't so thick. Her world wasn't so solid. So what was Adele like? Back then, Adele was a vulnerable woman who had surrendered everything to a man, forgetting her own identity for the sake of love. Axel. His name still felt like a wound in her mouth, but it no longer hurt. It just reminded her that he existed. Axel was a promising financier with a silver tongue and a charisma that even the devil would envy. In other words, he was a rich man. He had taken Adele, her pure and unconditional love, and then everything else. First, slowly, her friends, her ties to her family, then suddenly, like a sword stroke, her trust, her honor, and her future. He had convinced her that all his investments and assets were in her name. Security and my love, he had said. We are one body. I will manage things in your name. You just love me. Adele had loved him. Until that dreadful morning. Their home, their bank accounts, even the jewels left by Adele's mother had been emptied. Axel had vanished into thin air. He had left behind a note, as if stamped on her heart. What do you think it said? Love freedom as much as I love you. Forgive me. That day, Adele did not die. That day, Adele's old, naive self was buried in the ground. In its place, a spirit forged in the fire of vengeance, a spirit of steel, was born. But the first few months were very difficult. Anyone would have found them difficult. The first months were hell. There were tears, fear of loneliness, and a complete loss of trust in people. But one day, standing in front of the mirror, he noticed a spark in his eyes. It was a rage fueled by pain. It was a will to survive and take back what was his. She withdrew into years of seclusion. Her intellect was her sharpest weapon. She read countless books on finance, computing, psychology, and human nature. She wrote code at night. By day, she lost herself in the complex labyrinths of the stock market. She completely erased her identity. She emerged with a new name, a new past, a new face. She was now Sibylla. She became an investment genius, unknown, navigating the dark waters of the financial world, renowned only for her success and ruthless intellect. Her fortune surpassed even Axel's wildest dreams. But money was not an end for her, only a means. Her real goal was to strike Axel in his own world using his own weapons. Axel, meanwhile, had risen considerably over the years. He had become the darling of the media, a ruthless holding company emperor who struck fear with his business tactics. He truly deserved the nickname the Wolf. He was at the top, his confidence unshakable, until Sibylla appeared on the horizon like a dark cloud. Adele's plan was as complex and deadly as the moves of a chess master. He leaked a report to Axel's company tracing the origins of the initial capital he had obtained through fraud. This caused a minor stir in the media, but Axel, as always, used his power and money to cover up the incident. Adele smiled. This was just a warm-up. Do you think Adele would get his revenge? The second move was to lure one of Axel's most trusted partners to his side. Under the identity of Sibylla, he caused the man huge losses by short-term trading of Axel's company shares. Things started to get messy. The first cracks were appearing in Axel's world. Adele watched from the shadows. He relished reading the critical reports in the media about Axel's shaken confidence. This was not just a financial attack, but a psychological war. Would he win this psychological war? He wanted to destroy him where he was most vulnerable, money and power. He waited for the perfect moment to deliver the final blow. Axel was about to announce a new project to the world at a grand, ostentatious investment fair, appearing on stage at his most brilliant. That day, Adele sat in one of the back rows of the fair, dressed in a stylish and assertive black suit. The elegance and power that years had given him made him unrecognizable. Axel took the stage, his famous, confident smile on his face. He began his speech, talking about his power, his success, his vision. In his most enthusiastic moment, the giant screens of the fair suddenly went dark. After a moment of confusion, the screens lit up, revealing that small, humiliating note Axel had written to Adele years ago. I love freedom as much as I love you. Forgive me, then. Records of money transfers from Adele's account to Axel's secret accounts, forged signatures, and secret recordings of Axel with his closest colleagues discussing how they deceived Adele were laid bare one by one. A murmur rose in the fair. Camera flashes began to pop. Axel's face first turned deathly white, then it turned deep red. He stared at the screens in shock and fear. This was the beginning of his end. In that chaos, Adele stood up and began to walk slowly towards the stage. The crowd watched curiously, wondering who this powerful, enigmatic woman was. Axel looked at her. At first, he didn't recognize her. But then, he saw those eyes. These were not the eyes of the helpless, lovesick woman he had trampled on and discarded years ago. These were like a pair of diamonds, icy, judgmental, and gleaming with triumph. He recognized her. It felt like a dagger had been plunged into his heart. It was as if boiling water had been poured over his head. Adele? He whispered. The microphone was still on, and the name echoed through the hall. Adele reached the edge of the stage. As she looked at him, her face held neither hatred nor joy. There was only a deep, unsettling calm. Hello, Axel, she said. Her voice was clear and strong, self-assured. It's been a long time, the crowd held its breath, watching this dramatic encounter. The man the media called the wolf was now diminished. Facing the ghost of his past in a space as small as the palm of a hand, panicking, Axel shouted. This can't be. This is a lie. He managed to say. You? Who are you? Said Adele, tilting her head slightly. I am the product of everything you taught me. You taught me the language of power. You taught me how fragile trust is. You taught me, most of all, that nothing is as it seems. She took one step closer. I am the punishment from your past. The police are raiding your offices right now. Your shares have already plummeted. Your fortune, just like you took from mine, is evaporating into thin air. Axel gripped the podium with trembling hands. His world was collapsing all at once like a house of cards. The look Adele gave him was more painful than everything he had lost. This was the crushed bug he thought he had left behind, standing before him as a giant. You ruined me, he cried out. Adele looked at him for the last time. In that look, there were years of pain, struggle, and ultimate victory. Axel, she said in a soft yet sharp voice. You ruined yourself. I merely watched and lowered the final curtain. When you took everything from me, you gave me the most precious thing, the realization that I had nothing left to lose. That is the greatest power in the world. She turned her back and left the stage, leaving her former lover amidst the wreckage and his shattered reputation. The crowd made way for her, no longer as Sibylla, but as Adele. She walked out of the fair's doors with her head held high and her steps firm. Outside, the cold air of London brushed against her face. But this time, the cold did not chill her. On the contrary, it felt like the breath of her freedom. Revenge was sweet, yes. But what had truly nourished and satisfied her was reclaiming herself. She had not only destroyed Axel, she had rebuilt the woman she had once sacrificed for him, in a much stronger, much wiser form. She no longer had a ghost to chase. The past was, finally, truly in the past. She turned her back and began to walk on the path illuminated by her own light. This time, only for herself. Do you think Adele was right to take revenge? Do you like revenge? Have you ever witnessed anything like this in your surroundings?